is one of my favorite techniques, so I get really excited about it when I talk about it. Like I was saying in the last technique, I picked up the arm drag from working on Marcelo Garcia's Advanced Jiu-Jitsu. And I'd seen it before, and I'd played with it a little bit, and I'd worked with some wrestlers that had used it, but I couldn't really understand how someone small, like Marcelo, relatively small compared to his competitors in the absolute division, how can he turn that technique into such a high-powered, high-efficiency technique? Working on this book really showed me why. So we talked the last technique about how I'm moving myself, not my opponent. Even though we call it a drag, I'm just kind of redirecting it, moving in. That's a big part of the efficiency of the technique. Is it's easier to move yourself in most cases than it is to move whoever you're fighting with. So when we do the arm drag from butt scoot, though, let's talk about this position. It's going to be the same concept. I'm going to be going into Daryl. I'm going to be closing that gap as soon as I can to start opening up the avenue to the back. Now, it's the same conceptually, even though we're standing and sitting. And that's a big point that's kind of opened up my mind as well. So when I'm standing, not coming from a wrestling background, I don't have a whole lot of takedown experience. When I'm standing, I'm thinking that standing is relatively similar to my guard. So even though I don't do a lot of flying attacks, I know that my positioning is going to be very, very important. For example, I don't want to go directly between Daryl's legs. If I'm executing a takedown, I'm trying to move around his legs. I'm trying to pass his guard even though we're like this. So the guard is relatively the same as long as Daryl's in front of me and my legs are between him and me in some fashion. So the position, even though the space is expanding and contracting and our orientation is changing the same, I'm still thinking about it in terms of guard. That makes more sense to me as someone that's come from a jiu-jitsu background. Now, someone that was born in a singlet might disagree. That's fine. I wasn't. It made it easier for me to start adopting that standing game. So now in this position here, so I'm attacking the arm drag from here. It's going to be the same thing. I'm grabbing the wrist, I'm coming across to get the elbow. But moving from my butt scoot to get my shoulder to his shoulder is a little trickier because of just the way my feet are positioned. So let's talk about my butt scoot posture here. So that's a big part of how this arm drag from my butt scoot, from my guard, is going to work more effectively. Is based on how my body's set up. So a lot of people, when they play this butt scoot, they make two mistakes. They relax their feet, so their toes are kind of pointing together. The flats of their feet are kind of like clapping hands in a really goofy way here, and they're kind of laying back a little bit. So when they're sitting back, notice how my head, and I'm purposely doing this profile so you can see where my chest position is, my body weight starts being behind my hips. I start kind of tipping. So if I'm here and Daryl stiff arms me in the head, it's really easy for me to fall backwards. Yeah, he's going to lift the heel, and it's going to be really quick for him to pass my guard. So I kind of want to make an anchor for myself. So I make an angle here, so that way I can scoot my butt back, pushing my chest forward, making a little bit of a posture. So I'm kind of making that strong arch in my back like we would like I'm sitting in somebody's guard. I'm flaring my feet out. I'm taking the outsides of my foot into the mat here. This gives me a lot of mobility, a lot of control. My elbows are inside my knees, right over top of my ankles, kind of halfway between my collar and my ankles. That way, no matter where Daryl starts grabbing, I can start controlling this, okay? Now in this position, if he does try to push my head, go push, the energy kind of starts going down through my butt into the mat. So it kind of creates like a kickstand angle, right? And I've also made go ahead and start lifting. It's really easy for me to resist here. It doesn't hurt my neck too much. I'm just kind of using my body structure. Now in this position also, I'm kind of coiled like a spring because I can move very quickly. I can scoot forward if I need to, and I can scoot back. So if Daryl does manage to grab a collar, I can load up on this really quick, and I use this spring, push back out. I can boom, pop it pretty quick. I don't want to lean too far back. I want to keep my head forward, move my whole body away to break that grip. But for this arm drag though, it's going to open up my feet opening up, makes it easier to move forward. So whenever I go here, I start to grab after this elbow. I'm going to start pulling it towards me, and 99% of the time, if you pull someone forward, they're going to yank backwards. Yeah, they're going to do that. So I get this grip, and use that to hitchhike up here. I'm kind of doing a little bit of a row, but mostly it's Daryl resisting that pulls me up. So I go here, boom, I'm up. And then I can kick off my feet to stretch Daryl out. I'm just going to throw myself backwards. But that's this getting forward here is half the battle. This is the big victory for me to get in this position. Now it's very similar to being standing, right? I just need to get Daryl stretched out a little bit so I have a little more mobility. You know, kind of stuck on my feet. It's really difficult to move when I'm in the squat position. So let's back up a little bit, Daryl. Back up a little bit more. All right, so I'm here. Boom, get the wrist. I'm up. Throw myself back. Now when I throw myself back, I throw this leg into the air, create a little bit of momentum. I'm going to throw it down to help me sit back up. That lets me pop up. It's very difficult to just do a crunch here. Get momentum, swing it down and come here, start attacking the back. Very simple transition, but learning that arm drag, seeing how it's very similar to the standing and the seated, made my stand-up game expand a lot more quickly. So I wasn't very good standing when I first started this arm drag stuff. When I started realizing that I could do the same thing from guard that I could from standing, I started to really accelerate my game very quickly.